morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. We're going to get started. We're going to sit up nice and tall in our seat. Okay, find that length through your spine and start with our 10 chin tucks. Let's get ready and begin. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let's maintain that length. We're going to do our head turns, just 5 per side, always coming back to center. Here we go. 1, back to center. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, from here, we're just going to get on the clock for 1 round of 3 warm-up moves. 2 of them are going to be ones that we're doing in the workout too. I just want to kind of give you a little pre-trial with them beforehand. Nothing too outrageous here. So we're going to do 1 minute of each move. Okay, so it's going to be a 3-minute warm-up here. And let me get my timer to the appropriate one here. Okay, we'll just, where is it? All right, we're going to use this one here. Okay, so what we're going to do first is an out, out, in march. So it's out, out, in. 30 seconds in, we're going to switch our lead foot, okay? All right, so we're doing the same thing if we're seated here. Out, out, in, out, out, in. Okay, so 30 or 1 minute of that, 30 seconds through, we're going to switch. Let's get ready. In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so I'm going to do standing here, but please feel free to be seated if you want to do the seated variation. I'll tell you when 30 seconds has gone by. Really get those arms swinging and moving. We're getting a little bit of abduction here by moving our step outwards and forward, and then inwards and back. All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's switch lead feet. So out, out, in. Still getting those arms moving. Good, we have 15 more seconds here. And then we're gonna keep marching, but we're gonna do forward for 3 and back for 3. Okay, so next one, you can just march regular in place, whether you're seated or standing while I demo this next one, okay? So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, knee, 1, 2, 3, knee, 1, 2, 3, knee, okay? When you're ready, go ahead and join in. Here we go. Knee. See if when you, on that 3rd count, and if you're seated, I'm sorry, you're just marching, okay? You want that opposite hand and foot to be up at the same time. So if you're doing the movement one, you're going to check it right here, right? When you do your little pause, just like our lateral 3 count with that knee hold. We're just going forward this time. 25 more seconds here. The next one is going to be just a 4-count cherry picker with an arm circle. That one's not in our workout. In fact, I think just this one's in our workout. I just wanted to demo it beforehand. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, last one we're going to do here. Widen the stance, whether you're seated or standing. And we're going to reach out, middle, in. We're going to come up, arm circle. Okay, let's get ready and begin. Middle, inwards and up, okay? We're not locking out the knee here. We're keeping it, your leg is relatively straight, so you feel stretch through the back of your leg, but you're not locking out at the knee joint. You're keeping just a soft bend in there. And with this arm circle, go through your range of motion, okay? It does not have to look like mine, okay? We're all different, okay? So if this is too big, then you take it smaller and make it something like this, okay? We just want to get that rotation through the shoulder joint. Good, 15 more seconds. And then we're going to get into the routine. 3, 2, and time. Okay, good. You can get a drink here. And basically what we're doing today is a 12-minute block of all of our 45-15 of just all of our exercises. We're just doing that 3 times through. It's going to alternate between more of a strength training move and a more of a cardio body weight move, okay? So I don't think I put anything too complicated or new as far as patterns go, so it should flow pretty nicely here for us. The first one we're going to start with is a 3-count knee repeater. So I'm going to show you, we've done this before, but it's been a bit. Okay, so your standing variation is kind of showing the diagonal here. Okay, I'm kind of, see that, like my arms aren't overhead, they're like kind of up and out. 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. That sets you up on your other leg. 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so practice that real quick while you're standing. While I demo the seated variation. If you're going to be seated for this one's a little, you don't have to worry about that back, forward. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can rest your arms in between each 3, 2, 3. Bring them down. Okay, just so you have a little rest there, so they don't get too exhausted coming up and down the whole 45 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to demo with the standing one for all 3 rounds, just because that one's got a little more, movement to it to demonstrate, okay? So 3-count knee repeater, alternating. Let's get ready. Our cardio move we're starting with, and begin. This kind of keeps us into our warm-up. 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. See that? I'm just going slow so you can see. Sit squats are next, or a seated alternating leg extension. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, next we have our sit squats. All right, with or without weight. If you want to hold a weight here, or you could hold the weights on either side, or you could do body weight. Okay, feet are about shoulder width apart, and we're going to drop it down, drive it up. Okay, or if you're remaining seated, here we are, alternating leg extension. Okay, so you pick. I'm keeping my foot flexed with the seated variation and really trying to talk to the top of my leg here. My mind is telling that muscle to contract, okay? If you feel like your mind's telling it to contract, but you're not feeling it, don't give up. That just means that you need to do it more often to really start to create that mind-muscle connection, okay? 3, 2, and 1. Next, we have our lateral 2-step or our lateral shuffle. Okay, so it's either step together, step, step together, step, or shuffle. And remember, we can add those arms into it. Okay, so you pick if you want to add that little hop or just step it. Okay, And if we're seated here, we are just tap, tap. Okay. Maybe you want to do some arms like this to get the arms moving. The windmill, I've tried to do it seated before, and boy, that's tough. It's like patting your head and rubbing your belly, kind of tough, you know? Hinge and row is next, okay? So grab your weights or your water bottles or whatever you're using, your mind. You don't have to use weights if you don't want to. You can just use that mind muscle connection, all right? Hinge and row. Feet are underneath the hips, toes are forward. Push the hips back. We're gonna row. We're talking to this muscle group right here when we're rowing. Row. And then we're talking to the hamstrings and glutes when we stand up, okay? Seated looks the same here. We're just doing it from our seated position. We're gonna hinge. All right, so it's 2 movements. One for the lower body with the hinge, one for the upper body with the row. They both focus on the muscles on the back side of the body. Hamstrings, glutes, lower back, lats. Good. Our next cardio move is going to be our ham curl, the pull back. So seated variation, we're staying at the edge of our seat and we're tapping back and pulling back. Okay, I'm toe tapping back. If we're standing, it's you're bringing that heel up towards your glute and pulling back, okay? So you pick which one you want to do. I'll demonstrate seated for all of round 1. Curl and press is next. Or if an overhead pressing motion is no good for your shoulders or any body part, we're going to be doing our bicep curl with external rotation. Okay, so I'll demonstrate both when we get to that next one. Back to our strength move next. Remember, this is your workout. You can stop early, start early. The timer is just our guide. All right. Okay, so your next 2 options, seated or standing, are curl, press, bring it back. Okay, knuckles stay out to the side the whole time. If that causes discomfort, you're going to keep your knuckles back, curl, externally rotate, and down. Okay, so you pick which one works better for you. Okay, just remember, if you're doing this variation I'm showing right here, you're trying to keep those elbows close to the rib cage. We don't want this. See that? You want to keep them in here and just move through your range, okay? So we're either doing that, or if you don't have any shoulder complications, you can choose your curl and press, either or, seated or standing. Remember, if you're standing, engage your glutes, okay? That'll help keep your core tight and protect the lower back. 3, 2, and time. Okay, lateral 3-step march to hold, okay? So we've been doing this one. 1, 2, 3, hold. 1, 2, 3, hold. Okay, so you want to pause so that you get that good core control. This looks the same seated. 1, 2, 3, hold. We're just not moving laterally. 1, 2, 3, hold. And it still works your core. Good. That core and hip flexor, abductors. Goblet squats are next. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're on to goblet squats next. Okay, so what you can do for your seated variation, just to switch it up a little bit, we're going to do a lateral tap to leg extension like we do our sumo squats, just to mix it up. Goblet squats. Okay, we're not using the chair. If you're doing the standing, shoulder width apart, we lower down, drive up, lower down, drive it up. Okay, from the side, down, drive it up. Okay, so continue with those. I'm just going to go back to the seated variation. And remember, this is just to add some variety, so it's not the same exercise as the sit squat for this seated variation. We're adding just a little. Next, we're doing that forward back march for 3 like we did in the warm-up. 2 and 1. So if we're seated, we're just going to be marching. Okay, opposite hand and foot. And if you're standing, remember, it's 1, 2, 3, knee, 1, 2, 3, knee, 1, 2, 3, knee. Okay, all right, here we go. Had to fix my opposite hand and foot. Rope pull is next. Five more seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, our rope pull. Okay, like we're ripping that sign off, and we're kind of mad about whatever that sign says. We just want to rip it down, right? So a little intensity there. Remember, if you're standing, keep your glutes engaged. Let's begin. All right, so pull, and it's kind of up and over, and it's like a cross body. I'm coming up and over to one side, and I'm pulling down to the other. We're like raising the mast, raising the flag. It's kind of a similar movement. We're working the lats again, okay? We're pulling again, like our hinge and row. Instead of pulling from the bottom up, now we're pulling from the top down, okay? 10 more seconds here. Three, 2, and 1. Okay. Next, we have grapevine. Okay, so remember, step back, step, tap, step back, step, tap, step back, step, tap. Or you can do step together, step, tap. Okay, if it's confusing, remember, just go back to your 2 steps. Okay, and here we're back to lateral, lateral, lateral. You can give me some arms here. Next, we're going to do tricep extensions, and we're going to do a single, and a double. So I'll demonstrate in about 5 seconds here. 2, and time. Okay, so grab our weights or our imaginary weights. We can always just use my muscle connector. We're going to do single, single, double, single, single, double. Okay, single, single, double. If you look here, soft knee, slight bend at the knee, the ankles, and the hips. Okay, I'm not locked out for that lower body. Double, okay? And this looks the same seated. We're just slightly out, leaning forward. Single, single. Our final cardio exercise is next. We're going to go into a V step. Whew. Make that mind muscle connection. Talk to the triceps. Single, single, and time. Okay. Last one is out, out, in, tap, out, out, in, tap. Tap. Okay. So alternating each time, looks similar seated. We're gonna go out, and kind of almost make a X. So you can notice it, especially when I'm seated here, I feel like it's very apparent that I'm making the letter X here. We're gonna pause after this, get a water break. And again, though, you take your water whenever you need it. You don't have to wait for me to say it. But we are gonna take a break after this 12-minute block before we go through it again. Three, two, and one. Okay, guys, take a break there. All right. We're going to go back to the top. Oh, and it's a 13. I have 13 exercises on here, not 12. I was like, why does my timer tell me something different? Okay, now get your drink. Remember, you can keep on doing these seated if you're doing them seated, or you can do a combination of both. I am going to demonstrate from standing from this point, okay? So back to the top. Remember, we're on that stance. All right, about 80% of my weight in that front foot. I'm kind of kickstand on the back. 1, 2, 3. Back, back, forward. 2, 3. Okay. Seated, remember this, you just do 3. Rest the arms for a second, and then 3 on the other side. Okay. Let's get ready. Round 2 and begin. Remember, this is your workout. Excuse me. Go at your own intensity and pace. Three, 2, and time. Okay. Whew. Sit squats are next, with or without weight. Okay. We're coming all the way down to our chair. I'm going to use a dumbbell in each hand next to me. Okay. You can have them up here or use no weight as well. Feet are about shoulder width apart. Lower it down. Drive it up. Making that mind muscle connection. Just engage my glutes as I'm standing up. All right, talk to them. Press the heels into the floor. We're going to our lateral 2-step or lateral shuffle with the windmill arm next. 5 more seconds. And time. Remember, seated here, you can kind of tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. Okay, just get those arms moving as you tap. Otherwise, lateral 2-step or lateral shuffle with a little arm circle. Okay, here we go. So it's either step together, step, tap, or step, shuffle, step, tap. Okay. You do what feels good to you. Hinge and row is next. Good. 10 more seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. Woo. Okay. Moving on to our hinge and row. Feet are coming underneath our hips. Toes are forward. All right. Let's get ready and begin. We're going to push those hips back. Okay, as my hips come back, my head and my hips stay as one unit to keep that nice neutral spine. Squeeze the glutes to stand back up. When you're rowing, connect to your lats. Think about that muscle there. Tell it to engage. And when you're standing back up, connect to your glutes and hamstrings and tell them to engage. Hamstring curl pullbacks are next. That hamstring back to back here and time, okay? So body weight one next, all right? Remember, we're pull back, pull back. All right? And if you're seated, it's that tap back, okay? You're tapping those toes back. All right, let's get ready and begin. Think about in these little cardio components, how we get good mobility through our joints, right? So body weight movements, a little bit of momentum through the arms, kind of like dynamic stretching for the shoulders. Woo, 10 more seconds. Curl to press is next, or our bicep curl to external rotation if overhead pressing doesn't work, okay? And time, okay. Woo. Get your drinks. You might feel your heart rate coming up, okay? Remember, this is your option if you can't go overhead, okay? Listen to your body. If it's saying, nope, I don't like that, don't do it, okay? All right, core tight, glutes engaged. If you're standing, curl, press, bring it back, or bicep curl, externally rotate, bring it back, okay? Notice the difference in my knuckle position between these two. My knuckles are down with this variation. My knuckles are to the side with this variation, okay? Seated or standing, these look the same. Remember, if you're standing, squeeze those glutes. Good, almost there. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Lateral 3-step march and hold, okay? So remember, if you're seated, you're doing a 3-count march and then you're gonna hold, okay? Here we go, ready, and begin. So 1, 2, 3, hold. 1, 2, 3. Trying to get that opposite hand foot pattern. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You pick your tempo and pace. Take it slow, speed it up, depending on what feels right. You just want to kind of be able to stop on the dime here, right? It's like you're moving, 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 stop. Moving, 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 stop, right? Okay, you see what I mean? Five more seconds. 2, and time, okay? All right, goblet squats are next. Okay, so now remember, with your seated variation, you're going to do a lateral tap the leg extension just to make it a little different than the leg extension for the sit squat. And if you're standing, feet are about shoulder width apart, toes slightly flared out, okay? Lower it down, drive it up, okay? Weights here at your chest or no weights, and just put your hands, cross them over your chest, okay? This will help remind you to keep your chest upright and not hinge forward too much like our hinge and row, right? Sometimes we might get confused because the movements are so similar and start doing that. Three, 2, and time. Okay, going back to that 3-count march, but this time we're going forward and back. So it's 1, 2, 3, hold. Okay. And just a straight march if you're seated, just to vary it up a little bit. Work on that opposite hand foot pattern. Oh, these knee raises are in place of our lunges today. Getting our single leg work in this way. All right, next we have our rope pull, okay? So body weight, because we try to add a little intensity to it, okay? Core, if you're standing, you're gonna really make sure your core is tucked here. Your pelvis is tucked. And remember, it's like up and over. Coming right down to my hip bones. And I'm actually acting like I'm grabbing and pulling at something, you know? Keeping the core tight, the glutes engaged, that helps so that you don't sway, right? Because we want, it's anti-rotation here. We're also working our lats, but we're also working our core by telling it to stay still, even though we're kind of giving a little gusto here, okay? And time, whoo, grapevine, all right? Lateral taps, if you're seated, okay? In 3, 2, and 1, getting our fair share of lateral in today. Remember, it's step back, step, tap, or step together, step, tap, okay? Excellent, 10 more seconds here. And we're gonna go into that single, double tricep. 3, 2, and time. This one looks the same seated or standing for the movement in the upper half. You know, if you're seated, you're just seated. And if you're standing, I'm just keeping like soft bend through the hips, knees, and ankles. I'm not locked out, right? I'm just kind of like this, all right? Single, and then double, okay? Really focus on the back of the arm. Talk to that tricep. Toning those muscles in the back of the arm. Excellent. We have 10 more seconds here. And we're going to go into our V step. And that is round 2. We'll take a little rest and do it one more time. Whew, feel those. Man. All right, last one. Out, in, tap it. Out, in, tap. By tapping, that sets you up to go on the other side, okay? Looks the same seated. All right, ready? Here we go. What I want you to focus on when you're doing this V step, as long as it doesn't cause you discomfort, is really the movement coming through the shoulder joint here, okay? Versus like the elbow or something. See how this is elbow based? This is shoulder, down, okay? Versus, okay, that's more elbow. Because what happens is when you go through the shoulder, again, as long as there's no pain, you really get that middle back, okay? You really get that middle back area. And time, okay, that's round 2, guys. All right, so you get all through here, all right? Recover, one more time through. All right. Get your drinks. We're going back to the top, final round through. 13 exercises today. I thought it was 12, but I throw in one extra cardio exercise, okay? Hopefully you're feeling that body temperature up at this point, right? The accumulated effects of the workout start to set in, okay? So final round through, we're gonna do our 3 count knee repeater alternating, okay? So remember with the standing, we have to do the back forward to get us on the other leg. Seated, we don't have to worry about that, okay? All right, let's get ready. Final round and begin. Here we go. So I'm gonna start. 2, almost think of like you're breaking a broomstick over your knee, you know? Working our core, our heart, and our shoulder mobility. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Woo. 6 squats, okay? Or just a basic alternating leg extension if you're seated, okay? With or without weight for these, okay? I'm gonna use my 2 weights on either side. You could also hold them up here. Feet are about shoulder width apart, lower down, drive it up, lower down. Really think about grounding those heels down. I know I say it all the time, but that's really a good trick to get you to get deep into the glute muscles. All right, turn them on, strengthen them. They're the largest muscle groups we have in our body. Remember, the more muscle we have, the more metabolic we are, the more calories we burn at rest. 5 more seconds. 2 and 1. Excellent. Back to our cardio component. We're going to do our lateral 2-step with a windmill arm or the lateral shuffle. Okay. If you're seated, we're doing tap, 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 tap. Okay. Here we go. So it's step, shuffle, step, or step, tap, step. Think of all the different ways we're moving our shoulder joint today, right? Think of this like active stretching for mobility work. Ooh, 15 more seconds here. And we're going into our final set of hinge and row. 3, 2, and time on knees. Get your drinks as you need them. Don't wait for me to remind you. If you need one, just stop and take one, okay? Feet are underneath the hips now, whether you're seated or standing, toes are forward. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to hinge, row, squeeze the glutes up. So think of the glute squeeze as what's lifting your head up, right? Just as we're thinking of our lats, that engagement as assisting in us lifting these weights up. Three, 2, and 1. Okay, all done with those. Last set of our hamstring curls with a pull back, okay? All right, remember if you're seated, you're toe tapping back, but still doing the same arms here. Ready? Begin. Yet another way we're moving that shoulder joint. We've moved our shoulder joint in so many different directions today. Moving at your own rhythm, your own pace, marching to your own beat, so to speak. 10 more seconds here. Curl to press is next, or our bicep curl to external rotation if overhead pressing is no good, okay? Whew. So remember, if you're curling and pressing, knuckles are out to either side. Curl, press, bring it back. All right, if you're doing the external rotation one, knuckles are down. You're gonna come up, out, in, down, okay? Either or. Maybe you wanna switch it up one round. Maybe you don't have any shoulder issues, but you just wanna, you know, add a little extra variety. Keeping your glutes engaged if you're standing. Should be really feeling that heat in the body by now. Ten more seconds here. Last 5, 2, and time on these. Okay. Next, we have our lateral 3-step march and hold. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, hold if you're seated. Okay. And we're going to move if we're standing. So 1, 2, 3, hold. Remember, move, 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 hold, right? That's the idea. We want to think of creating this movement and then all of a sudden having to stop it on a dime, right? Being able to stop on a dime and pause on one foot, right? 10 more seconds here. Opposite hand and foot. 3, 2, and time on those. Whew. All right, goblet squats are next. So with or without weight, 1 or 2 weights, we're just kind of holding them up at the chest. The feet are coming about shoulder width apart. Okay, we want the weight or our hands up here to help us to remember to keep the chest up, right? Just go through your range, but we just want to make sure we don't tip forward like this because it's just, it's not wrong, it's just a different exercise. And remember, if you're seated here, this is where you can do your leg extension to lateral tap, just to make it slightly different than the alternating leg extension we did with the sit squat. 5, 3, 2, and 1. Ooh, okay, back to our march, but instead of going side to side, we're forward and back now. So if you're seated, you're just gonna march the whole time, okay? If we're standing, we're still gonna kind of add that little pause, okay? Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, pause. Woo. 10 more seconds. Last 5, 2, and 1. Okay, almost there. We're going into our rope pull next. Remember, if you're standing, we want to scoop and tuck, okay? Keep this like really nice and solid, okay? So when we pull, nothing rotates, okay? That elbow doesn't swing us around, okay? It's called anti-rotation, right? We're working the core by not allowing it to move when there's force applied, right? We have to keep it still. This looks the same seated. You just don't have to worry about the glute squeeze as much as you do if you're standing. Ten more seconds, then we grapevine. And time, okay. So just alternating lateral taps for seated. And remember with our grapevine, it's either step together, step, tap, or step back, step, tap, step, back, step, tap. Okay, here we go. Tricep kickbacks are next with that single, double pattern. Ten more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Okay, almost there, guys. Single, double. Okay, so remember, if you're standing, just soft down through the ankle, knees, hips. Okay, core engaged. And we're going to single, double. Okay, seated, you're just bent over ever so slightly, performing the same pattern with the arms. Really thinking about that tricep when the elbow's extended long, thinking about that muscle contraction in the back of the arm. Good. 10 more seconds here. Last 5. And time on those. Whew, I'm feeling those ones today, guys. All right, this is our final exercise here. Then we'll cool down. We're going to do out, in, tap, out, in, tap. Remember, really think of rotating through this joint, okay? It's okay to have a bend through your elbow, but the movement's not happening through your elbow. See, that's through my elbow, making like that W. We want to make a V. A V. Okay, so again, that gets into your middle back. This looks the same seated. You're just kind of tapping the toes. You have a little more knee flexion with the seated variation because you're seated. Ten more seconds. Now 5, 2, and 1. All right, guys. Woo, take a break here. Get a drink. Oh, I should feel warm. We're going to go ahead and cool down now. And let's start with our heart rate's up a little bit, possibly. I know mine is slightly here. So let's start with one that doesn't have us bending forward or anything. So we're going to pull and press, getting into the side of our neck and trap here. Just really focus on really nice cleansing breaths. Relax your jaw, your cheeks, feel the stretched hand. All right, come back to center, same thing other side. Gently press and pull. And then just dial in as your hand relaxed here, letting gravity do its thing. How about your jaw, your cheeks, your eyes? Is everything there relaxed? Just breathe into it. Good. Let's come back up to center here. All right, we're going to take the palms of our hands and put them on the small of our back and bring our elbows in towards one another, creating a stretch through the front body here, through the shoulders and the chest. Okay, you can keep your head wherever you want, forward, up, down. You're just focused on feeling that stretch through the front of the chest and shoulders, and you'll also feel it through your forearms too, by having the palms, which I'll show you on your back, the small of your back like this here, okay? Pretending like our elbows want to touch, but of course they don't. Okay, good. Let's shake that out. Let's roll the wrists around here. All right, forward and each direction a few times, okay? All right, and then you can kind of wiggle the fingers, all right? Maybe stretch, okay? Okay, so from here, let's just do a couple of shoulder rolls back. All right, and now we're just gonna bend forward. I'm gonna show you from the side here. I'm gonna bend forward, and I'm looking to stretch this upper back area, so it's not about my lower back bending. It's kind of like I'm just gently holding the top of my head. I'm trying to get my elbows to touch one another in front, kind of scooping my belly and rounding my back. Feeling a nice stretch between my shoulder blades and all around the shoulder blades. Good. And then just gently roll up out of that. Okay. Whew. Let's come into our figure 4, stretching into our glutes. We're going to go into our legs a little bit here now. All right. So I'm just resting my one leg across the other. Okay. I'm trying to lift up a little bit and then just lean forward some. And it shouldn't take much to feel that stretch through the side glute here. Okay. Good. And then let's release that. And then let's take the leg, okay? Either you can keep it on the floor if it's too hard to keep it lifted, or you can just have it gently elevated so we can flex and point for 5. And then we're going to circle 5 each direction. And if your foot was down for the flex and point, you probably will have to lift it up for this one. A little bit trickier to do. But at least half the time your foot's resting if you need it, okay? All right, and now the same thing on the other side, starting with our figure 4. Okay, again, this gets into our glute, our piriformis muscle. So I'm ever so slightly leaning forward, feeling that stretch through the side of my glute here. Good. And then gently come out of that. Same thing, flex and point for 5, maybe with your foot on the floor for this one if you need to. And then we're going to circle 5 each direction. You got to lift it up for that one. That was a little trickier. Good. And then last exercise, let's do standing here. We're just going to do our forward fold to get the back side of the body here. Okay. So holding on to the sides of your chair here. Okay. And you're going to hinge so that you're creating that 90-degree bend through the hips. Okay. And you're just feeling how that stretch goes through your shoulders, the back of your legs. I'm not locked out, but I'm pretty straight. You know, my knees aren't like locked out straight, but they're you know, there's not much bend. Good. Just feel that stretch take over the whole back side of your body here. When you're ready, let's walk it up. All right. And then we're just going to do one big inhale up, exhale the heart, and then one more. And okay, guys, that's a wrap for today.